Okay, let me go ahead and make a video about Comma AI and OpenPilot or Sunnypilot, since I had a lot of trouble finding resources when I was researching this device, and it was hard to figure out if it was really worth it, if it was really going to give me what I wanted, if it was going to be just slightly better, or it was going to be a night and day difference. And after having used it for a few months now, it is definitely a night and day difference between the stock lane keeping and OpenPilot. Once in a while, the car would either pull a little bit too much to the right or very slightly do the ping pong, not as bad as what you would consider ping ponging. And if you don't know what that term is, it's basically your lane keeping system not being able to figure out where in the lane it should be. So it keeps pushing you towards one side, and it decides that it's going too much to one side, and it tries to correct it by pushing you too much to the other side, and you just keep swerving left and right like that. So Hyundai didn't really do that much, but once in a while I would get that. Once I switched to OpenPilot, and in my case I am using Sunnypilot, that problem completely went away. Once in a while I would notice, even though my hand was on the steering wheels, if the road is really straight and nothing's moving around, it would still warn you to keep your hand on it because it wasn't detecting enough torque on it. Because yeah, there's really no reason to, it's just one straight up open road. OpenPilot has the driver camera right here that's monitoring you the whole time. And if it detects when you're not really watching the road, it will start alarming. And it's really a well-working system. I notice even if I'm spending too much time on the stereo and it detects my head is facing down, it will start alerting pretty loud. So you will definitely want to face forward, or it'll make you. And if you don't, after a few warnings, it will actually disengage the system. The only way to bring it back is actually you have to pull over, turn the car off, or you just basically have to restart the unit. Otherwise, when I first bought this car back in 2019, 2020, when OpenPilot it wasn't really in its infancy, but it was really not this advanced. I had heard about it, and at the time its price was, I think, around 2,500 if I'm not mistaken. And I researched a lot trying to figure out which lane keeping system was the best. I definitely had to have that and the adaptive cruise control. I ended up setting my sights on the Hyundai system. So after I bought the car, I wanted to get OpenPilot too, but I was still debating if it was worth it, the $2,500. Then, if I'm not mistaken, again, it went up to $3,000. Then at that point, I'm like, you know what? I don't really drive that much to need it. Maybe I'll just hold off on it. So about 5 years later, 2024, around Thanksgiving, I'm like, let me research this again. What's going on? And I saw the price was actually down to $1,200. So I'm like, okay, cool. That's actually a decent price. I will actually bite the bullet. Then when I went to buy it, I saw it was exactly around Thanksgiving time, and they had this huge Thanksgiving sale. It was down to like $800, and that was definitely worth it. So I just bought it on the spot that day, and it arrived within a week. I installed it. You will see my setup is slightly different than the setup they want you to have. I did not want to commit to the placement of the unit just yet, and I saw on the internet one guy was using this 3M tape to hold it in place, and that works pretty good. And at times I noticed the Velcro started coming off, even though the glue is strong enough. Just the Velcro between the unit and the windshield is coming off. So I bought this phone holder with the vacuum base, and I flipped it upside down to have an extra support for the bottom of the unit, so I didn't run into that problem anymore. And since I bought it unfortunately, I haven't been able to look at all the development of it. I've just been using it as a basic consumer device at this point. When I took it out of the box, I just hooked it up at home, connected to my home Wi-Fi, installed the software. A lot of people were saying, oh, install OpenPilot first, then go to Sunnypilot. I just skipped all that. I just installed Sunnypilot. Yeah, I did install OpenPilot first just to see it. Again, that was at home. But then I just wiped the device, installed Sunnypilot, and that's what I've been using in my car since. And that was since November of 2024. This is now January 25. And since then, I've taken a few long trips from the Keys to Fort Myers and then back. I barely had to touch the steering wheel. About 99% of the time, this has been my experience. The car handles everything perfectly. Rather, OpenPilot handles everything perfectly. It takes sharper curves with ease. Of course, that's going to depend a lot on how powerful your car's steering wheel motor is. Like basically the torque on it should be enough to be able to turn the steering wheel hard enough and fast enough to take the curve. At least back in the day, 5 years ago, when I was researching this, the Hondas, the steering wheel motor was not strong enough, so anything past a basic curve, they would struggle. The steering wheel wouldn't be able to turn hard enough, so then you would need some driver interaction. With this one though, I haven't really had any problems, and you'll actually see a few curves we're coming up to, and you may have seen in parts of this video. I haven't had any problems. There's one coming up. This one we have no problem at all. I've also driven a Tesla before, Model 3. It was a rental from Hertz, and I had noticed that it felt a little bit more stable in lane keeping than the stock Hyundai system. This one definitely feels on par, if not better, because on the Tesla, again, it was making me hold the steering wheel, and it would warn me if I took my hands off of it. And since this has the driving monitoring system, it doesn't really have that issue. As long as you're watching the road, you'll be safe, and you can take action whenever you want. And again, since the beginning of this video, I haven't really touched the steering wheel at all. It's just keeping pace with the car in front of me. If the car, right now my speed limit is set to, or my cruise control is set to 65 miles an hour, and the car in front of me is doing 45, 44. So we are just following him. If that car accelerates, my car will accelerate up to 65 miles an hour, and it's going to top out there unless I change it. But depending on your speed limit, obviously you'll want to play with that. So overall, it has been an incredible experience being able to use this technology in my car. Hopefully they'll be able to improve on it, and we can get even better results. Right now, the experimental version of Sunnypilot, not that the whole system is not experimental, but with the experimental features, it detects red lights, stop signs, it stops at the lights, but I notice it doesn't really know what to do afterwards that well. Yeah, when the light turns green, it tries to go, but it takes a little bit too much. And at the stop sign, it stops, but obviously it can only see what's ahead of it. So you're not, or the system's not going to be able to see what's going on to the left and to the right of you. You will have to make those decisions. So maybe in the future we will have more cameras installed around the car, and with faster processors, you'll be able to detect those even better. Definitely extremely exciting technology and very impressive. I realized I forgot to mention a few extra things, and you can see how it's taking this corner. I had to adjust there. Yeah, a few things I forgot to mention. One of them was the fact that the stock system starts the cruise control at 25 miles an hour, which was inconvenient. Honestly, at this point, we're talking about first world problems, it was inconvenient in school zones where the speed limit is 15. So with Open Pilot, you can lower it to a lower value. So I can easily drop this speed limit to 15, and the car will just adjust itself and stick to that speed limit. This is what I was talking about when I said it's not accelerating aggressively enough. See, we slowed down or almost stopped at that stoplight rather, and it's not accelerating fast enough to keep up with the car in front. Right now we are doing the speed limit, but it was a little bit, look, like I said, it takes only a few extra seconds, like one, maybe two. And finally, when you are stopped on the stock system, when the car in front of you moves, your car warns you saying lead car is moving. So at that point, you either have to hit the resume button here or hit the gas pedal. With Open Pilot, you don't have to worry about that. It will automatically start accelerating when the lead car is leaving. And you will notice it will take this corner too. And I'll show you an example of the stop sign. See, there's one here, and the car is stopping. And it is trying to go, but see, it turned a little bit too much, so I'm going to correct it, but then it's going to take over and keep going.